G'day guys, this is Nick at Stridewise.com in Columbia, Tennessee with the fantastic Trenton of Trenton and Heath. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for being here.
Yeah. We've been hanging out here today. We're filming a couple videos. The one that I really wanted to get a cobbler's perspective on was on this comparison of two giants of the Pacific Northwest boot world. We're talking about White's boots versus Viberg boots. We've got service boots, the classic service boot models from both brands. These are my very worn-in Vibergs. This is a brand new pair that we just opened up here, and this is my old pair of White MP service boots, which are now called the Sherman boots, I believe. When I got them, the military police boots, the MP boots, is what they were named after. So yeah, Whites and Viberg, they're just gigantic, pretty expensive boots that are made in North America. The Vibergs are made in Canada, in Vancouver, British Columbia, and the Whites are made in Spokane, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So as a cobbler, first impressions, what do you think of these
First
boots?
impressions, we have gotten the opportunity over the years to work on both of these brands, and I mean, they are built like a tank. Both of them are. But I mean, that's the whole point of these brands anyways. I mean, these guys are up in the northwest area of the country, a lot of logging going on up there, guys that are, need, good hardy boots that are quality because, when you're out in the woods logging, you can't have your shoe and your boot falling apart. So that's the whole, the heart and soul of these brands anyways.
Yeah, what's interesting about these boots are both of them have dedicated work lines that may surprise some of you with regard to Viberg, but Viberg has like a workboot.com. They sell like work boots as well. And there is Trenton is a longtime cobbler. He's put together millions of shoes, and he had his jaw dropped when he got his first pair of Viberg like logging boots. Like he found them really, really massive, absolute tanks to work with. That said, what we're looking at here are the more city boots, I guess I'd say. And as a whole, when comparing the two brands, that might be a way to compare the two brands at large, which is that Viberg, generally speaking, although they're very high quality resolable footwear, Viberg is a bit more of a fashion boot and more of a city boot, just for guys who want really high quality footwear. And whereas White certainly attracts a lot of the same clientele, White also sells a lot of boots to actual loggers and linemen and construction workers, firemen. They got like a whole line of fireproof boots as well.
I think it's just safe to say that Viberg has just expanded their line, while White's tends, like you said, to focus more on the customers that have been loggers and you need these boots for your particular job. They haven't deviated much past that. They've come up with some other styles like this one that appeal to a larger audience, while Viberg kind of has their roots in the same, field as White's. They've expanded it to a much larger audience. Yeah,
they sort of expanded it to the point that it's almost kind of broken off, right? Viberg's work boots, they're on workboot.com. If you visit the two websites, if you go to whitesboots.com, I think there's the URL, and viberg.com, pretty quickly you get the difference in the brands, like the branding itself. Like Viberg has like a lot of being very well dressed and having very high level casual clothing. You go to White's Boots website, you're gonna pretty quickly see like firemen and guys with chainsaws and everything like that.
But I think it's a smart marketing. Boy, you got to broaden your horizon.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
that's it broadly. And as far as the comparisons between the two, like just aesthetics wise, off the bat, they're fairly, they're both like kind of service boot makeups. The White's boots is a bit more of a rugged look. That said, the White's boot is a bit more of they call this like their dressier last. Like it is like a little bit more elongated and pointed than the service boot. That said, many people, especially if you get rid of the toe cap, they're not going to find a massive difference between the two. That said, the golden eyelets that are a bit more common on Viberg boots, they do speak a bit more to its DNA as a fashion boot.
Yeah.
Leather-wise, we wanted to talk about that a little bit as well. So when comparing these two brands, you'll pretty quickly see, if you look at the product pages for these two boots, that they have vastly different arrays of leather available.
When it comes to the uppers and the choices that you're given, I think White's, it doesn't offer a whole lot. I think you're getting Chrome XL, you're getting Rough Out, maybe a wax. Not a lot of choices in comparison to the Viberg.
Yeah, that's true. To be fair, Chrome XL is generally considered the most beloved boot leather in North America. And Weiss, they have I think about 4 or 5 different colors of it. Yeah, and they'll have a couple of rough outs and wax rough outs, all from Halloween typically. Meanwhile, Viberg, they do have the Chrome XL, and both of these are Chrome XL. This is the brown Chrome XL, and this is the color 8 Chrome XL. But Viberg, as the slightly more fashion-focused brand, they have a wider array of interesting leathers and a lot of seasonal leathers too. So every year, if you subscribe to the newsletter, you're gonna get like emails every other week saying, we've got this new Eco Veg Tan suede that is like colored like a sweet potato. That's one they're currently selling, right? They've also got like plenty of like kudu. They've got like some South African antelope. They'll come out with a kangaroo pretty often. You know, they'll have, I've seen ostrich turn up there quite a lot. So Viberg has, for one, just simply by numbers, way more leathers available. A lot of them are 100% veg tan, which whites aren't on the service boot typically. Plenty of cordovan as well. Very, very high-end horse leather, or horse membrane, some people call it leather. And those boots are well over $1,000, the cordovan ones, right? Whereas for whites, although they are in the pricier bracket, and so, you know, theoretically they could sell as fancy as they want, the brand itself is more geared around work, and the average person probably would think like, why
are you going to spend that? Or,
why is it necessary to get cordovan just because it's shinier for longer? I mean, cordovan has plenty of benefits, don't get me wrong, but yeah, generally again that speaks to the different markets the two brands operate in. Another thing on the leather is that the clicking, I think, is a bit different. So the way they select their hides. So I've got a pair of whites boots here, because these ones aren't Chrome XL. These are not their service boots, this is their 350 cruiser boot. But if you're comparing these two boots, these two Chrome XL selections, if you know much about boots, you are aware of what they call the Chrome XL lottery, right? Which is that a lot of the time with Chrome XL, you don't know how much it's going to crease or anything until you get it and wear it for a little while. Then the creases appear, right? Viberg is a lot more demanding with the quality of their Chrome XL. I wouldn't go so far to say that this is like bad quality Chrome XL or it's less durable or anything like that, but it does speak to the brand's higher emphasis on aesthetics.
Yeah, and I think when you said clicking, for a lot of you folks that don't know what clicking is, you know, when they roll out the hides and they have the certain pieces of the boot that they lay down the dye on the leather, and the machine comes around and clicks it out. And the person that has that job is a really important job, because that person has to know that leather hide inside and out, so they know which areas of that hide are going to be the highest quality, rather than maybe the belly side or the hind side where, you know, that may be stronger, which sides are going to stretch a little bit more. And of course, you know, for those, you're going to see a lot more wrinkling like that as you get to certain areas of the hide. Yeah. So it's a really important job.
Yeah, and you know, long story short, with the whole clicking, look at these two boots side by side. It is incredibly rare to have Chrome XL that doesn't wind up with a bunch of creases over the toe break there. Viberg doesn't have it, and you never see this. And this is a testament to they put more work into the clicking, which means they throw out more leather in the shoe creation process, which contributes to the higher price of the two of them. That's the leather of the two brands. The soles, you also see more soles on the Viberg side. And not to sound like too much like a broken record here, but the fact that Viberg will have, they've got the classic day night here, which is also what these service boots have as well. You can also get the whites boots with luggier soles as well, like chunkier, luggier soles. But generally, the whites boots, you aren't going to see them experimenting with like so many like Christie wedge soles and Ridgeway soles and other sorts of soles.
Not going to deviate out too
far.
Yeah,
exactly. Whereas Viberg, again, as the more fashionable brand, there is this section of people who are in the market of these sorts of higher end boots where they like to convince themselves that they're not actually interested in aesthetics. They're interested in like a boot that's tough and is going to last a long time. When actually what they really want is like a nice looking boot that is going to last a long time, but toughness actually isn't as important to these people as
the looks and
the aesthetics. And there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever, right? I think if you're someone who is interested in buying Viberg boots, right from the get-go, you go to their website, you can tell this is a brand that's more geared toward fashion. So in that note, they have way more leathers available, more interesting leathers as well, I would say, like, you know, rarer leathers, more vegetable tan leathers, that kind of stuff, and more variations of sole as well. Moving on to the construction, Trenton has been recently working on a pair of whites boots, and you were quite amazed at how unusual the construction was.
Yeah, so we did a repair video just a few weeks ago, and we were actually taken aback by the construction of the whites. Now, just like the Viberg, it is a stitch down construction, but they take it a little bit further on the whites. So when we got it taken apart, what we noticed was the upper here flips out, so it's a stitch down, but then they have this little piece of leather that goes along on top, and it's almost like a hand sewn welt. So they take this piece, they glue it on top of the stitch down, and then it is hand welted through the bottom. So you're almost getting, it's almost like a hybrid. It's not just a 100% stitch down. It's a stitch down, and then you have a hand welted piece on top. So a little different, but I mean, it's still, super hardy, super. Yeah, it was different, but again, it is a stitch down. They just take it to a different length, different level. Not sure why they do it. I've tried looking on their website, and we couldn't really get an answer on it. But that's just apparently that's the way they've been doing it for years.
Yeah, it's interesting. I filmed a resole of some White's boots last year on Vito's Leatherworks channel. I guess I'll put the video up there. And he has resold a billion boots as well, and he was very surprised by the construction.
It's not something you see every day, and I've done hundreds, if not thousands, of boots and shoes, and I've never seen anything like it before.
That's not to say there's anything wrong with it.
No, not at all.
It's just very unusual.
Yeah, it's just different.
We don't really know what the word for it is. Hand sewn, Goodyear welt stitched down.
And then the Viberg is just your typical stitch down construction.
It's stitch down construction. That said, there is still a subtle difference between the two that a lot of people might not pick up. You were mentioning earlier, Trenton, the difference in the stitch density.
Yeah, so one of the things that I've noticed on several pairs of Whites in comparison to the Vibergs is just, again, the stitch density. And what I mean by that is like per inch, how many stitches are in there. And you can see that on the Whites, it's just substantial. I mean, maybe 3 to 4 stitches per inch, and then on this one, stitch, and then a big stitch, and then it goes back to the same size. So there was a little off a little bit on the consistency.
There's like an inch here where there are like 2, I think.
Yeah, where you might have 2 stitches in an inch.
3,
so, I think when you're spending that kind of money on a boot, I wouldn't really expect that. But then on the Vibergs, I'm looking, and you have a much tighter, stitch density. I mean, I don't have a tape measure here, but I mean, you're at least getting 6, maybe, probably around 6 stitches or so per inch. And then, they're double stitched on that one. It's pretty compact.
It's compact. Yeah. And it's a sign of like more skill and labor going into it as well.
Generally, the tighter the stitch density, the higher quality the shoe, generally.
Yeah. Now, the Whites are going to last a very long time, don't get us wrong.
Yeah.
But this brings us to the value proposition here, right? Now, they're not as far apart in cost as you might think. The White's boots these days, they're about $670, like $640 to $670-ish.
That's here, yeah.
And the Viberg service boot, it depends on the leather. Like I've seen some at over $800, and the Cordon ones are $1,100 or so. Generally, the service boot is in the realm of like $730 or so dollars.
So not a big mark,
not a massive difference between the two. The Vibergs are certainly more expensive. They're also, to be fair, they're coming from Canada as well, so you got to deal with like the import fees and all the rest of it. They put that into the cost of the boot. You don't have to worry about it. But I imagine, if there was no international component, if these were like sold in the US, I imagine they'd probably be about the same price.
Yeah.
So when it comes to that, you got to ask yourself, what is the realm that's like more important to you, right? Because like with Viberg, the clicking is a bit higher quality, the stitches per inch is higher quality. That said, with the White's boots, the leather tends to be thicker, and it tends to be like a bit of a heavier boot as well.
Yeah, I mean, you can, just when I feel the insides of these, you can tell a big difference. This feels softer, just a smoother leather. This is pretty substantial, I mean, it is a thicker leather, and both of them are going to last for, forever, but you can definitely feel like this is going to have a higher break-in period. But I haven't worn a lot of these. I know you have. So your point of view, break-in time, what do you think on both of these brands?
Viberg's is better.
Okay, I could see that.
That's an easier break-in, yeah. The Whites is, all things taken into account, still, you can tell the DNA of the work boot in the brand.
Yeah.
And Viberg is more geared toward fashion, meaning leathers, aesthetic stuff, a little bit nicer, and the break-in is not quite as brutal as well, and the craftsmanship is a little bit higher. If the areas that we've been talking about here are what are important to you. If what you're after is like real like durability and like a really thick midsoles and everything else, you might want to go with Whites. But if you're interested in wearing your boots to walk around the city and so on, then quite
probably going to be Viberg.
It is a little bit more expensive, but you need to ask yourself, what are you actually getting your boot?
And just to reiterate for a lot of you guys that may be like, I'm a big Viberg fan or a big Whites fan. Again, we're just talking about these types of styles of boots, the service boots, not, for you guys that are loggers, whatnot, both are great brands, but for the service boots, yeah, there's a bit of a difference, more for style, more for work, I guess.
Yeah, that's a pretty good place to wrap it up.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's our comparison of Weiss versus Viberg. My buddy Christian Kim actually wrote an article on this for the website, for stridewise.com. I put in the description below. He wrote 6,000 words comparing the two. He got really, really, really in depth. If you're the kind of guy to click on this video, there's a decent chance you would be willing to spend however much time it takes to read it.
It was a good article.
Yeah.
I read it.
It is very long.
Yeah, it goes in. You guys go into great depth on it. So.
Yeah, so if you like this I wouldn't consider this a very superficial video, but relative to that article, this is a little bit more service level. If you want to really get into the nitty gritty, definitely check that out below. And otherwise, I hope this is a helpful video helping you to decide which brand is right for you at the Pacific Northwest. That's the video. Make sure you subscribe if you went up here. And also definitely check out Trenton and Heath's channel. They are superstar cobblers down here in Tennessee, and they do spend a lot of time taking apart boots on their YouTube channel. And if that's the kind of stuff you like, it probably is. If you click this video, yeah, you definitely to make your way over to their channel, which I put in the description below as well.
I appreciate it.
That's it. All right, man. That's the end. I don't know what to say. All right.
Yeah.
Goodbye. Thanks for watching.
See you later.